And it is a star-studded class, this 2018 class. So let's go ahead and meet the 13-member class of this year's Basketball Hall of Fame. We start with one of the greatest point guards in the history of the sport, Jason Kidd. A 10-time NBA All-Star, an NBA champion, two-time gold medalist, and 1994-95 Rookie of the Year.
Speed and power with the basketball, one of the greatest point guards of all time. Extraordinary vision with the ball.
You like point guards? We have another one. Steve Nash is a member of the Hall of Fame. A two-time NBA MVP, 8 times he was an All-Star. Steph Curry and Magic Johnson, the other two point guards to win multiple MVPs.
Also engineered a pretty good upset when he was at Santa Clara of Arizona in the NCAA tournament.
3 NCAA tournament appearances for Santa Clara when he was there, none since. How about that? This guy had a pretty good run in the NCAA tournament too. Our next Hall of Famer, Grant Hill. Twice he won the national championship with Duke in 91 and 92, 7 times an NBA All-Star, and he was co-Rookie of the Year with Jason Kidd in 95.
Well, Grant Hill, his first 6 years in the NBA, put up numbers that only a few players have ever put up. The Sandy Koufax of professional basketball.
How about a shooter?
He could shoot it.
Very few could shoot with his sweet stroke of Ray Allen, who is elected into the Hall of Fame. 10 times an All-Star, 2-time champion, an Olympic gold medalist as well, 2,973 career threes, most in NBA history.
And had a fabulous career as well, playing for Jim Calhoun at UConn, one of the sweetest shooters in the history of this game. We
go back to the point guard. From the Philadelphia 76ers, Maurice Cheeks is in the Hall of Fame. 4 times Mo Cheeks was an All-Star, 4 times on the All-Defensive team. Won the World Championship in '83 with the Sixers.
Well, Maurice Cheeks was one of the great leaders in the history of the NBA and one of the great individual defenders on the ball.
Also, in this 2018 Hall of Fame class, the first draft pick in the history of the WNBA, Tina Thompson. Tina was selected #1 overall by the Houston Comets, 9 times an All-Star. When she retired, she was the all-time leading scorer in league history and still stands second.
Well, played alongside Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops with the Houston Comets, was an All-American at USC all the way back to Morningside High School in Los Angeles. A great player.
Also, he won a championship in the Euro League as well. Tina Thompson in the Hall of Fame. Now for one of the great coaches in college basketball history, Charles Lefty Drizel. 786 wins in 41 years as a head coach. He took 4 teams to the NCAA tournament, won 348 games, rejuvenated programs at Davidson and Maryland, and fathered Midnight Madness.
Well, the left-hander, one of the great coaches in the history of basketball, and you mentioned Midnight Madness. He also vowed to make Maryland the UCLA of the East and did so.
Lefty Drizel, well-deserved and into the Hall of Fame. A player who has a connection with Lefty, although he played at North Carolina, the great Charlie Scott. A 2-time All-American with the Tar Heels, an NBA champion with the Celtics, won Olympic gold, and was the first African-American scholarship athlete at North Carolina.
Well, Charles Scott, one of the great gentlemen in basketball history and one of the game's greatest players and ambassadors.
We're going to visit with Charlie and Lefty together a little bit later on, and you'll learn about their connection as Charlie was starting his basketball career. Elected as a contributor to basketball and into the Hall of Fame is Rick Welts, the current president and chief operating officer for the Warriors.
Rick Welts has helped make the Golden State Warriors into one of the model franchises in professional basketball.
Drove the marketing plan for the Dream Team. He is credited with creating the whole concept of the NBA's All-Star Weekend. That worked out pretty well. You consider he started his career in basketball as a ball boy for the Supersonics.
Just like you.
As a ball boy. Yeah, but see, Rick actually went on to something greater. That was pretty much the end of the line for me. Also, into the Hall of Fame, elected by the Contributors Committee, one of the great executives in the history of basketball, also a terrific coach and player, Rod Thorne, into the Hall of Fame.
Rod Thorne was an All-American at West Virginia as a player. has the distinction of having drafted Michael Jordan. Pretty good choice.
I would say so. NBA Executive of the Year in 2002 with the Nets, and he himself was the #2 overall pick in the NBA draft back in 1963. So we have 10 members of our 13-member Hall of Fame class joining us here in San Antonio, but there are 3 others who are unable to be with us, and we introduce them now. Dino Radja is into the Hall of Fame, retired Croatian player, one of the 50 greatest players all time, according to FIBA.
Well, did it in the NBA and internationally. One of the greats of all time.
Also elected into the Hall of Fame is a 7-time WNBA All-Star, Katie Smith. You know, they say she's the all-time leading scorer in all women's leagues in professional basketball.
Well, Katie Smith could score from anywhere on the floor and just a great competitor.
And also into the Hall of Fame, elected by the Early African American Pioneers Committee, is Ora Mae Washington. The late Ora Mae Washington was known as the Queen of Tennis, but she was also a terrific basketball player. A nice round of applause for her. The leading scorer and coach on a Philadelphia Tribunes team that lost 6 games in 18 years. You know who they lost to?
I don't.
Men's teams. Only to men's teams. So Ora Mae Washington goes in to the Hall of Fame.